Welcome to Cykometrix Presents. I'm your host, Sylvain Rochon of Cykometrix. I am with wonderful Susan Gotti of Disruptive Spark right over here. Thank you so much, Susan. And we're going to be doing a little bit of an interview talk because Susan is doing something pretty interesting. Built her own assessment around her particular brand and how so that teams can build out flow and get better at what they're doing in business and develop a resilience in the workplace was really interesting and important because things are moving all over the place these days. You need to get tough, productive, happy, and just like move like the river. So I think that's a great concept. So we're honored that you chose us, Susan, Cykometrix, to validate and host your workplace performance assessment that produces the index, right?
Yes.
And we look forward to sharing all the value, uses, wins the company can expect to receive if they choose the tool. And so why did you call the assessment the workplace performance assessments?
Yeah. So, hello, and thank you so much. I appreciate you, giving me an opportunity to share a little bit about, this journey, how this, the resilience index came to be. I definitely want to spotlight the fabulous partnership that I have with Sylvan and with his company, and none of these things would exist without them. So, I just want to take a quick moment to acknowledge, their incredible work to take something and really what it ultimately gave me was just ultimate confidence that what I was actually presenting in the world was valid. It's based on science, it's based on research, it's based on years of study, it's based on years of actually using the assessment itself before it was actually an assessment. But it was really your company that allowed us to pull it all together and, really bring it into the world where it actually existed. So thank you so much. And, I want to just also say, I'm a very small company. We're a small, nimble, female-owned company that doesn't have the budget that, a lot of other organizations would have. And I could still do what I wanted to do in a really powerful way with Sylvan and his team. And they've been exceptional at helping us to iterate and change and come up with new things. And, we wouldn't be where we are without you. So thank you so much. So to get back to your original question, the Resilience Index was kind of the product of my own personal journey. I think anything that you're willing to go through the process it takes to bring something into existence almost always has a personal connection for someone. And for me, it was really, wanting to excel in my career, being surrounded by, I was in a group of 1,000 people that were all wanting to excel in our businesses and our careers and in different ways. And it was incredible to me to realize that we were all sort of challenged by the same 4 or 5 things. So that was the original, reason for creating what's now known as the Resilience Index.
Okay, and what makes it special? Because we're an assessment platform.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's 2,000 different assessments out there. I think it's 2,500 plus in market, right? There's for all sorts of flavors, all sorts of reasons. So what makes this particular assessment and the resilience index itself, what makes it special and help with the performance assessment of companies?
Yeah, so great question. And I think I would put this tool, one of the first things I'm going to say is we're more of a diagnostic tool, like a practitioner's diagnostic tool, than we really are an assessment. So there's lots of, things out there that can give people their personality, their communication style, their strengths. There's lots of ways to look at who you are today. But honestly, I couldn't find a single one on the market that said, here's how your performance can be standardized, measured, and compared. And here's where you fall on a scale of being able to be at the peak performance that's available for you. I just couldn't find anything out there. And so, your platform and the assessment that we created gave myself and my team, which is really how this started, a way to actually diagnose as if we were more of a physician looking for the root causes to why people can't or won't, right, perform at the level in which they're really capable of doing. So I think that's the most unique factor about this particular assessment.
So the way I can characterize it is that it's not one of those psychometric assessments that tells you who you are.
No,
As you said.
exactly.
It's about how are you able to perform, and how can you improve that so you can perform better.
Exactly.
It's not focused on your inner characteristics, but on the behaviors that lead to success. Is that correct?
Yes, it's a predictive assessment. So we know based on habits, traits, and thought patterns. They're really the three things that we look at. It is very predictable where you will excel in your tasks, and it's very predictable where you will run into very common challenges people face when they're outside of their comfort zone. So I think that's the best way to kind of look at this assessment. Anytime you step up into something new, and in companies, we call it the stretch assignment, right? Or we'll call it, someone gets promoted into a next position, or all of a sudden I'm managing a larger team. Or in our case, a lot of times people are being put on cross-functional teams because they're working on something new in an organization, or there's an organizational shift in some way. It's actually really predictable how people respond. And it looks very chaotic. But once you understand the predictive ability of that, and then we can put you in your own personal way that you view things at this point, we can show you where you're most likely to excel and where you're most likely to run into what we would call inner resistance. So those are those kind of little voices in our head, that upset stomach that you get, the stress in your back. For many people, it's I went to raise my hand and answer and I pulled it down. Like, these are just common things that happen to people actually through their whole lives. And we actually can almost hold up the secret decoder ring and tell you why that's taking place. And then we have an entire curriculum built around how to help you move through that if that's what you choose to do.
Okay, so that sounds like what you're measuring on individual levels, because the measure is a self-assessment.
It is.
Right? So people are assessing themselves, and there's a report that comes out of it. What are the common business challenges that the resilience index actually solve, like the actual organizational challenges that you're seeing? And maybe there's a couple of stories or use cases you can mention.
Without a doubt. And I can tell you how it got started, and then I can tell you where it's been going. So really, we created this as a diagnostic tool for practitioners of Disruptive Spark. Our goal with organizations is to help them achieve their goals. So achieving a goal means it doesn't exist in the organization right now. So the most common places we get pulled into that are if an organization is going through some sort of change, meaning a systems adoption, or maybe they're going through a culture transformation or a service transformation. So we have to move large numbers of people within an organization. And then even to take it down even in lower is we are often hired by individuals to help them with these performance issues that they're running into as they've stepped up into their next role of leadership. That's kind of like the core one that we've been working with, because it unleashes, or it kind of sets off a whole bunch of things that didn't exist before when you were in your most secure comfort zone. So those are the best use cases when we work with individual leaders around helping them to prepare and step up into their next level of performance. It's really, we put it under the heading of personal productivity. So how long and how easy, right, can you stay in motion towards your goal? And so that's a great use case for that.
Right. And I know you've been using it internally with your consulting team.
Yes.
So I presume there's a story that you can tell about how maybe one of the leaders was transformed and how the index actually helped him or her.
Yes. And honestly, this is true of every leader that we've had through the assessment, including our own team. But we actually see a minimum of about 10 to 12% of an increase. Because what's great about the assessment that you built for us, one of the reasons that, we really went for it is it's designed to be a pulse check. So we can come back over time because we really are looking to see measurable change and be able to report on that measurable change. So when you take the baseline assessment, we look at the 4 key areas that actually are known to create internal resistance. And the easiest one to shift, believe it or not, is what we call energy management. So energy management is your body's own reaction to stress in new, uncomfortable, or unexpected circumstances. So when you step into a new role, all of those things are happening for you all of the time. It's very predictable. And the reactions are actually very predictable. So I would tell you, when I think about our clients, I actually wrote a couple of notes. I want to read them because it's their comments that I think speak to me more than anything else. And here's what they actually say. These are so good. So I'm more easily and effectively able to delegate. So delegation is, one of those like core things that organizations are always solving for, and they always take a skill-based approach. But the reality is delegation has more to do with how comfortable do I feel when things are out of my hands. And the more senior you are and the more visibility there is on you, the less likely you are to actually feel comfortable delegating. So we solve that problem with this. Another one is the ability to remain focused and on a specific target. So the higher you go in an organization, what people I don't think are ready for is the level of decisions that come at you on like an hourly basis. There's more people that need you. Everyone wants guidance and direction. The most common thing you hear from your team is you're not being clear enough with me because they're, activated and they don't even know what that means. And so the ability to put blinders on and really keep your core nervous system, what we would call grounded, is actually how you become extremely productive. And I'm going to use this word because it was a big red flag for a client of ours coming directly from her senior leader, which is you're not finishing tasks through to completion. So she would get almost to the end and then it would just stop. And she would be more likely to say I was procrastinating, but it's actually not true. It was your body and your central nervous system that were just experiencing stress. So I think those are some of my favorite ones. And the last one I would add in there is just the ability to tolerate imperfection. That is the single biggest thing that anyone can really bring into their life to make everything in their life run more smoothly. So those are a couple of really great examples.
No, those are great. And I think especially in the business world, because we're trying to compete all the time, can't accept failure, can't accept incorrectness, can't accept not winning the next contract, things like that. It takes a toll.
Yeah. And so I think you bring up such a great point. Like we haven't really talked about one of the tenets or like the cornerstones for creating this was to help people think about performance in a healthier way. So listen, we know people know how to hustle their butts off, right? We know you can work all night long. We know you can sacrifice your personal time. We know that if you really want to find a way, you will find a way. But we said, I don't think we really need to do that. I think if we simply find out what's making it feel so hard and solve that problem, that you would have what you wanted and a little bit more peace too, which is what our clients say, by the way. I've never felt more peaceful is a general comment we get from our clients, even when it's incredibly tense and stressful.
Is that the most common, like, true aha moment that you have from your clients, like realizing that they have to be human in a way,
Yeah.
and with their body and mind.
Yes. I think that when they realize, when they can make a certain connection, we call it a mind-body connection. That's a practice that we teach all the time. So you were just saying this earlier. When you can realize that messy, wrong, inaccurate, goofs are the beginning phases of good, when you can, in your mind, make that connection and adopt the principle, this is one of the principles that we teach, is this idea of good, better to best. So if you can put your mind and your body and get that aligned, that mistakes are actually what is going to take us to the next level. They no longer become obstacles, but they become the thing that you're looking for. Because it is, right, the win is on the other side of the mistake. And so the without understanding this basic principle, when you experience the mistake, you stop trusting yourself. You're like, oh, but wait a minute, but how could I be wrong? You weren't. You just needed to get to that point so you could get to the next point. Like everything, there's another principle that we teach all the time, but everything is always working out for you. If you adopt that sort of a mindset, you never activate any of your physiological stress indicators that say something's wrong. So all the other things that then, happen as a result of that never even come into play. So a lot of people are very focused on, like we call it emotional agility or building emotional IQ, and that's a really good thing to be focused on. But before you do that, you have to be able to calm your internal physiological response to stress. And once you can do that, we say that's actually when you become like bulletproof. Like people say, how do I become a clutch player? What do I have to do? Well, you have to learn how to control your heart rate. Once you do that, then everything else is possible for you.
That's great. I have a background in biochemistry and also some in psychology, emotional intelligence, that kind of thing. Man, if your body breaks down, your mind is not aligned or has a problem, you can't function optimally. It doesn't matter how smart you are.
It's 100%.
Totally.
And, we really look at the research, right? We know this to be intellectually true, but we followed the research. Everyone can check it out for themselves. It's a great study from Whoop, which is a performance watch. And they kept a heart monitor on Patrick Mahomes for an entire season. And I think the thing that when I saw this, I was like, I knew it. And here's my proof. So in the moment for Patrick Mahomes, right, his heart rate doesn't, like if you were in a situation where there were so many things coming at you, the typical response would be my heart rate would escalate. Not only does the heart not escalate, it actually de-escalates. So we've kind of got a whole subset of content right now that's teaching strategic leadership, not as a skill, but as a how calm can we get your internal body, so that you can actually tap into a layer of creativity, innovation, strategic thought that you didn't even know existed in you. That's a whole other subset that's coming out. And it was all as a result of really understanding the core principle of what makes someone a clutch player. Right? Everybody wants to be the guy or the girl or the person, right? How do I become that person? If you're watching this, learn to control your heart rate.
Amazing. I didn't know that about Patrick Mahomes. Listen,
he's got the skills, he's got all the other things, but a lot of people have that. What makes him different or perform at a level than any other person? It's that.
Yeah, makes him special. That's pretty cool. And let's do one final question, talking about your clients here.
Okay.
What are some of the unexpected wins that companies experience? Right?
Yeah.
When they use the resilience index and they plug that into their performance processes.
Yeah. So here's the best win is that people actually feel better. So the number one thing people say is I actually feel more peaceful. And the second they're in that greater state of peace, they're able to extend that to others around them. So you really can only extend what you have to give, right? So when you've elevated yourself to a different space, all of a sudden you're able to show up for people in a different way. So years ago, I had been at this great conference, and this woman who was leading a segment, she said, she talked about her manager, and she said every single one of us on our team became the most successful people in our industry, and I always credit it to him. She said he had this ability to blow up this umbrella and keep all the minutia in the organization away from us so that we could actually do our jobs. And we became really good and worked really well. And we all carried this with us into our lives. And so I was in the midst of building all of this when I heard that story. And I was like, yes, right? Yes. And I went home. I wish I had a picture of it. I went home and I had my designer create this umbrella. And we lifted up this umbrella and we said, what are the 4 points on the umbrella? That if we created training programs, leadership programs that did that, we could actually protect the most unprotected people in our organizations from things that they don't even have any control over. And that was how we were going to actually help organizations to transform, to achieve these engagement goals they're looking for. I don't really do engagement goals. We focus more on loyalty because that's an indication of business, and everything we do is a business metric. Engagement, great, you're happy at work, I'm glad for you. But what I really want to know is, are you loyal, right? Are you loyal to the company, and are our clients loyal to us? So the 4 points that are in the resilience index, and I'll share them with you because I don't think we've talked about them yet, but it's energy management, which we've already talked about. That's your physiological response to stress. And then it's a concept we call personal agency, which is, what is your own belief about yourself? How powerful do you believe you are? Is a really incredible place to spend some time. Then we talk about emotional agility. So how quickly and easily can you move through your emotions so that you can get back into a place where you are in a strategic place? And then the last one is just workplace adaptability, which is such a fun concept to play with, because what happens for you when things change? Do you fall apart? Right? And what we know is the quicker you can process through simple changes, the less stress you're going to have, in your body, the more successful you're going to be. And so though all 4 of those things became the points of this umbrella. And I think the coolest thing I will say is that there's a term, you might be familiar with it, called the halo effect. So if you focus solely on one, they actually affect all. So that's why we can see a resilience score change, but we give adults what they really want most, which is the option to pick. So in our content, there's 4 things that you get measured on, right? You get your overall resilience, and you get these 4 pillars of the umbrella. You get a score of each of them, and how a couple of other things around there. But then we say to you, which one is most interesting to you? Which one do you think is what you need in order to do what you want to do? And then you get willing participants. And that, I think, is the unexpected, right? The unexpected. And I would add on to that is the majority of our clients do tell us that it also shifts a lot of things for them in their personal lives. So they feel like they become better parents, better spouses. They have, a lot of times they step up into leadership positions in their community organizations. Like, they're just better prepared to manage the onslaught of responsibility that come with, these next level things that we're dreaming about.
I think this is really important. I mean, I was involved in making this with you into the platform, so I want the audience to hear that. But as a geek of data, what I really like about this is that it applies to every industry, every position, because you're helping a person. It's not so much about the tasks that they're accomplishing every day. It's like, if you pick one of those pillars, for example, and you improve on it, you're going to be good no matter what you're doing.
Exactly.
Right? And also, going to get into your personal life. It's going to improve that. Because you're treating the person, not the job. So I think that's really important, and it's the universality of it. It makes it an amplified effect when it's used, because you get training for specifically because of your profession, for example. But then you go home, and the effect is also applied in your home life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a great way to say it. I mean, in our research, in the willingness curve research, we really were able to realize that skill-based training, which, by the way, I'm a trainer by trade, right? I've been in talent development for my entire career, and I've created hundreds of programs for people. And every single one of them that I created focused only on skill. And it was a real pill. I'm not going to lie. Like, when I realized, and it was my personal realization, I had been taking all of the sales training classes, but yet I couldn't make any money in my business. And it wasn't because I didn't know what to do. Being in sales is so visible, and there's so much rejection you have to navigate through. And there's so many things that keep you hiding or running back to the safety and security of the skills that you know. That was when I really realized, oh my goodness, like we're missing it, or I guess like if I were to kind of even rephrase what I just said there for myself, which is something that we teach our clients to do, how you talk to yourself is so important. I would say it was the next thing I was ready to receive. Like, it was the next thing I was ready to see. I had taken this, I spent thousands, like $40,000 on this 2-year entrepreneurial journey. Like, this was how serious I was about growing my business. And then I got into this program, and I was with 1,000 people, and all of us were struggling with the same thing from a visibility standpoint. And so I didn't, this is the joke, I did not make a lot of money as an entrepreneur after taking that class. It would be tough to say that class in and of itself was worth the investment. But here's what it gave me. It gave me, the ability to see it on such a scale, like you said, with data, and to realize that we had to figure out how to solve these other issues that we call resilience-based issues, or actually they're resistance-based issues that resilience training solves. And that, so I was given the ultimate gift, right? I was given the ultimate gift. And the second I chose to believe that to be true, everything changed for me. But I spent a couple of years in there pretty mad about this idea that I spent this money and I was supposed to get this thing and I didn't get this thing, and that was all I could focus on. But the second I made that one mental shift and said, but you know what, Susan, you got something better. And the moment I leaned into that energy, everything changed.
Everything changed.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe you have a gift for the audience, for whoever's watching. You may, or listening in some cases.
Yes.
People that are curious about how they can advance and
yes.
performance and so on. So why don't you talk about that?
Thank you.
Tell us about that.
Thank you. So
up.
we are very interested in any of your audience members, anyone connected to your organization, for them to actually try this assessment. The best thing about the resilience-based assessment is it's based on what everybody said they hated about every other assessment. So if there's something you didn't like about an assessment that you've taken in the past, I can guarantee you we probably solved for it. So it's quick, it's easy, it can be done on your phone. The results are just 2 pages. You don't have to go through decks and decks of paper. And while most people choose to have like a book or something to go along with it, we know that the younger generation, they just don't read books. And so we came up with kind of a TikTok style based curriculum that you can just go and see where you are in any one of the 4 places and be able to get immediate content that's going to help you make that change. So what we'd love to do is share that with your audience at a really special rate. So normally it's about $150, which we think is very competitively priced to take the assessment, to get the diagnostic, and to receive this package that includes some facilitation time. But we're actually extending that offer for $49 for anyone that says they saw this episode and they are interested in finding out what their resilience profile looks like. And most importantly, what we're going to be focusing in on that is your energy management score. So you'll get your energy management score and some of our top content around how to actually become very confident and secure, even when something is unknown, uncomfortable, and just out of your wheelhouse.
Awesome. I'm all for it. I know the value of it, so yeah, of course I'm. So we're going to spread the word. People that are listening and watching, look at somewhere in the description. There's probably a link and there's some information around where you can get to engage with Susan.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something. We've also made that super easy. Like, we believe in the human touch, right? So we love high tech, high touch. So high tech makes it easy to keep things in motion, but high touch means there's always a person. So if you call our customer service line or text our customer service line, an actual person will call you back. And we'll send you the link. We'll we'll just make it easy for you to do what you want to do. And then, it's yours from there. So simply, disruptspark.com. You'll find anything that you need there. And our service center is that 516-202-8884. So just text Resilience Index and we'll get you what you need. And you can always find me. I'm at Susan Gaddy1 on all social. Just text me Resilience Index and I'll know exactly what you're looking for.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Susan, for being with me on the Cykometrix.
I love it. And honestly, I just appreciate you in particular, as well as the product that your company has built. And we're doing amazing things together. And I'm so happy to see that just getting started, right? We're like, this is just the beginning and there's so many more amazing things to come. So I'm sure we'll be doing this again soon.
Absolutely. Let's do more.
Have a great day.
Cheers.